neighbor, how you doing now? Happy Sunday. This is being recorded on a Sunday afternoon. I should be out by Monday. So thank you so much for being here. We've been doing His Mistress by Morning by Elizabeth Boyle. I hope you've been enjoying it because I've been enjoying telling it to you, honestly. So let's continue. So where we left off in the last episode, we had it that our main girl, Charlotte, Lottie, she's finally settling into this life, okay? You know, there was this whole thing that happened to her where she made a wish and suddenly she wakes up the next morning and nothing is as it seems. And she finally has the love of the man she's always wanted, Sebastian. But there's a catch. She's his mistress, not his wife. And not just his mistress, she's like the most admired lady in London. This is someone who was a wallflower just the other day, and you're waking up to so much attention. So the world feels too much. And as a courtesan, which she is in this new life, she's also shown by the people who were her friends when she was in the other life. Listen, some of what I'm saying might be complicated for you if you've not followed us from the start. So please just try to go back a little. Or you can just maybe hang on here and you might still get it along the way, okay? But it'd be best for you if you go to listen to episodes before this. They're not that long, just 20 minutes or so. I mean, just listen to it while going on a walk or washing your clothes or just doing a simple task. You'll catch up in no time. And I tell it straight to the point. So that's where we left off in the last episode. She's finally settling in. This was after doing the initial gra of, I cannot be known as a courtesan, as a soiled woman. I want to get back to my other lifeline where I was proper and I had friends. But based off of, she has spent a day with Sebastian and she has experienced what it means to be loved by him. Now she's already taking this life in. She doesn't even have any desire to rescind it. Like to say, no, I don't want this life anymore. She wants it. She's enjoying it right now. The shopping, the money, because in the other life, they still even try. She did not even have money. But in this one, she has a lot of money, has a lot of male attention, the best wardrobe ever. She's not starting to enjoy the perks of this life. The only bad side is that she's a courtesan. But everything else is lovely. Why would she want it to change? So that's where we are in right now. Queens, on the other hand, Queens being the supernatural being that granted Charlotte that wish she made on the ring, now spends 2 weeks trying to track Charlotte down. She's trying to track Charlotte down to let her know that, hey, the last time we spoke, you did not like this wish because you are a soiled dove in this life, so on, quote unquote to say. But I did not tell you that you can actually say, I don't want the wish anymore. You can go back to how things were before. So Queens is now trying to track her down to tell her that she can actually say she doesn't want the wish anymore. Queens doesn't know that the girl's mind has changed. But in the meantime, Charlotte is just too consumed with Sebastian, the perfect date. When Queens finally catches up to her as Charlotte is trying to get into a carriage, Charlotte's footman, he's an Irish person. And Irish people are known to have hints of fey blood. So because of that fey blood, the Irish footman, he is extra wary of Queens. Where a normal person would have been like, okay, my madam said she knows you, alright, talk to her. The Irishman was just lingering, giving Queens that look of, you're not who you say you are. You understand? And Queens was just like, this man should better go away. Let me just tell this girl this thing I want to tell her fast. Let his fey blood not sniff me out. That's what I am. That's a supernatural being that is just lurking around an old woman's body. So Queens now has to distract the Irish footman. But whatever it is Queens wants to say, Charlotte doesn't want to hear. That's the worst part because she is fine with this life. And she's now returning to her carriage when Queen blurts out that, you can go back. You can go back, Charlotte. You asked me if you could. So Charlotte now turns, and to Queen's shock, what Charlotte says is, oh, you dear thing. You've been worried about me. I know I was upset at first, but a sweet pink blush now just crawls across her face. It covers her pretty face. And she now tells Quint, he loves me. Certainly, this isn't quite the life I had in mind. But as long as I have Sebastian, I have you to thank for everything. That's what Charlotte tells Quint. And Quint is like, oh my gosh. She first of all looks around to make sure that Milton is not overhearing this thing, because Milton will have her head. Charlotte now leaves. And Quint, she has to hide from Milton. Because the whole point of this thing is she has to retrieve Milton's ring. That's the ring that Charlotte is wearing that caused her to make that wish and is living this wish right now. And Grace is just like, the only thing I can hope is that Charlotte sees the consequences of this wish, that is not as perfect as she thinks. that she sees the consequences, that she herself can now say, hey, I don't want this wish anymore. That's the only way Queens can get back that ring and not getting onto Milton's bad side. Charlotte, although she has left Queen's present, she cannot stop thinking about what Queen said. To even make it matters worse, when you just got news that is not so palatable, when you've already prepared yourself a perfect day, and after that news that is not palatable, you want to just brush off the news and say, anyhow, the rest of the day will go well. But it's as if that news now came to scatter everything else that is going to happen that day, because everything just starts going wrong. First of all, the other courtesan that she was supposed to go on shopping with, Mrs. Fournette, cancelled, and now Charlotte has to shop alone. Yes, it's true. She has a carriage, she has a driver, she has a maid to see to her needs, the freedom to choose whatever her heart desires. And that's what she does. She shops, she doesn't care for the price or whether she truly needs another hat. She's just shopping because, well, she can. But then it just feels as though something is missing. Around that time, Hermione enters the shop that she's in. Remember, Hermione is Sebastian's sister, and that was Charlotte's best friend in the other time, the time before Charlotte made this wish. Hermione enters the shop that Lottie is in. Hermione is trying to buy a ribbon. So the instant that Charlotte sees Hermione, she hides behind a rack of clothes or just somewhere so that Hermione doesn't see her and leave the shop on account that she's there. Basically, the whole avoiding a soiled woman thing. Now, this is 19th century, 18th century London. Things were done properly and in order. Even now, the English are just known generally to be a very polite bunch. Now, Hermione is drab. Hermione of the other timeline is a very colorful person that likes to wear pink and blue and outrageous colors, but this Hermione is in dull clothes. Seeing Hermione like this, looking drab, looking colorless, makes Charlotte feel guilty. And it's even worse when she sees the shop owner being rude to Hermione, because apparently Hermione's family is already owning the shop a lot. The only thing that is causing Sebastian's family to stand out in the Mallowys, to still stand out in society, is based off of old name, but they no longer have money. But they have like a powerful name. And the shop owner is tired and saying, whatever I want to buy, just leave it. Or just telling her the price with this reluctancy that says, I know you cannot even afford it, so don't even bother. And Lady Wilmot and her older daughter, they're at this point of embarrassment because they too they join Hermione in the shop. So Lottie has to come out from her hiding place because she can't stand it. These are people that she considered friends, right? In the other timeline, not just considered friends, her friends, people that accepted her. So now, as Lottie, she tries to pay for them, to say, hey, it's okay, let me pay for your stuff. Lady Wilmot starts screaming at her, you're nothing but baggage, foul baggage, the lady declares. It is blood and breathing that defines a lady, not the reticule full of silver and gold she finds on her dresser in the morning. I'll go in racks before I see 2 pence of it, ill-gained fortune, go toward my family. Now this woman, Lady Wilmot, she wasn't such a righteous matron in the other timeline. She's a very easygoing woman that I'm pretty sure can easily be friends with a courtesan if the opportunity avails. So seeing the rest of the Mallowys lose their color, the only person that has color in this lifeline is Sebastian. I mean, he dresses in fashionable, expensive clothing in this timeline that he would not wear in the other one. But the rest of his family are not like that. Meanwhile, in the other timeline, the rest of his family dress expensively and everything. He's the one that is a true sensible one. Okay? So seeing them like this, it makes something not quite sit right with Charlotte, with Lottie. I don't want my life at the expense of these people. I want better for them. I don't even like this their worldview. No. Now she's leaving that place. She's in tears after being told that very harsh thing by a woman who used to lovingly welcome her with open arms in the other timeline. So she's leaving there. She's in tears. Charlotte, please forget the background noises. This is just basically part of the struggle of starting from nothing, really. Just a quick gist. I'm not meant to work today, but this week I ended up working 7 days a week based off of the place of my employment, short staffing, things. And normally I'm meant to be recording it in the evening, also when it's quieter, but I cannot do that. I just have to sneak in some hours between church time, and I have to be at work in 32 minutes, really. And I'm recording this. So those are all of the challenges you face in between trying to really meet needs, pursue your passion. So I'm really sorry, about the noise. Thank you so much for bearing with me. Now let's continue with the story, okay? So Charlotte, she's leaving that store and she runs into Rockhurst. And the moment she sees Rockhurst, the L, she bursts into tears because she was just trying to hold herself. Now, it's even Rockhurst that starts comforting her. Apparently, Rockhurst is best friends with Trent in this timeline. So Lottie and Rockhurst, they're walking together and she's just staring at finery around her and they suddenly mean nothing to her. Based off of not only can you just afford all of it, but what's the point of being able to afford all of these fine things if you cannot share it with the people you care about, if they won't even accept it from you? She starts having a conversation with Rockhurst, and that conversation with him really reveals to her why Lottie, like the real Lottie, not this Charlotte person now who has to live this life of Lottie, actually was asking Sebastian to go ahead and marry Miss Buck, because she understands that because she's a courtesan, she's a soldier. Because of that reason, even if Sebastian says, I'm going to marry her, puts his foot down, it's going to make Sebastian's family an outcast, and his true unmarried sisters will not be ever able to marry. Remember, this is London in all of its properness. Now, Rockhurst knows Trent loves Lottie, but the moment that Rockhurst confirms that Lottie loves Trent back, a light of desire sparks in Rockhurst's eyes, and that surprises Lottie. So Rockhurst admits that he actually envies Lord Trent because he's the one that Charlotte chose. So Rockhurst now asks Lottie, what happened? We had an agreement a few weeks ago, but it changed. Everybody has been saying she changed. She doesn't even know the agreements that Lottie had with Rockhurst some weeks back. She does not remember it. You get. Now Lottie's life just got more complicated because now she's saying that actually Rockhurst is really interested in her as a woman, actually really likes her. And he just marks that desire with a 2 light on, like, oh yeah, well, And Rockhurst's dog, Rowan, the dog that knows that she's not really Lottie, keeps bearing fangs at her. Because this is Rowan dog that used to be madly in love with Lottie too, always licking her feet. Now it's bearing teeth at her. But they don't understand, apart from, it looks like he changed. But she's still dressed in her finery, still looks the same. So they cannot pinpoint what exactly about her is different. Sebastian shows up there, while Rockhurst and Lottie are walking together and looking around all these shops, and he's not happy to see his best friend and his mistress together. So there's a diamond that is in sight where they all kind of pause and they're standing there like it's on a display case in the shop. And that diamond serves as a reminder to Sebastian that he cannot even afford something like that for Lottie because he's poor, he's impoverished. Now Lottie can't explain what Rockhurst saved her from, because she's trying to explain to him, hey, we just ran into each other and he's with me based off of so and so just happened. I ran into your mother and your sister. But she cannot tell him that because that would only put him in a hard place. So she has this awful thought that if not for Quincy's wish, he wouldn't even love her. So now Sebastian and Lottie, they are in the carriage together. They get into a carriage together and they just silence between them. Then Lottie now starts talking. I love you, but right now you're being a complete ass. I love you. I love you with all my heart. I know that Rockhurst is considered by all to be my next choice of protector. When she says this thing, he's trying to protest. Like, oh, no, she just puts up a gloved hand to stave off this exclamation he wants to say. She now says, see, I am no more immune to gossip than you are. But if I were to leap into the bowels every time you went off to woo Miss Buck, that's where you were this morning, isn't it? Because she's just trying to tell him, look, we're just trying to fit into our different places in this world. And I understand. And I really hope that you don't start acting funny because of Rockhurst. You also understand my situation. Now, their fathers want the bands read. That's what Sebastian starts informing her. That yes, this morning I was off to see Miss Burke. Our fathers, they want the bands read. And Lottie has Fenella breathing down her neck. So those are the pressures both of them are facing. But their love is most important. Now she starts kissing him in front of the house. She expects Fenella is gone to be with Lover for the afternoon. You get, because she now invites him inside, like, ooh, let's finish this kissing thing we started inside. But then they tumble into the house to the mess that Fenella created. She trashed the house. She's been drinking. Apparently, Fenella's lover got married after making promises to Fenella for years that he would marry her. And the lover married a 17-year-old girl. Why? Because apparently he owed the girl's father £5,000. You know what it means? £5,000 in this age and day is an exorbitant sum. Back then, you cannot even. In Fenella's state of crying, she's saying a lot of things. All of them, they're all the same. Mark my words, Lottie. Love matters not. They'll toss you aside when you become inconvenient. She just drank a brandy, threw it back down her throat, and now continues talking. Marry another. They're all the same. And this sends chills down Lottie's spine. Now, Sebastian carries Fenella to her room because she's just such a mess. And even Fenella's room is such a mess. And once he lays Fenella in bed, they tuck her in. Sebastian excuses himself and leaves. Now, Charlotte starts setting the disorganized room in some semblance of order. That's when she starts noticing pieces of papers, that's letters around. So she doesn't want to. Basically, it's Fenella's privacy. But she just says, okay, let me just read and know if it's anything bothering Fenella I can help out with. That's when she starts reading. The first letter starts with, "My dearest little puppet, imagine the way my heart leapt when I spied your notes this morning. It was as if you awoke beside me and we had spent the night." Okay, that's too private. Charlotte puts down the letter. She should stop. But then she's like, what if there's a lesson for me to learn here? Maybe I should read this, okay? Maybe I could just gain a thing or two here. She now continues. She now notices that the date of entry of the first letter, February 1784. That's some 27 years ago or so from this time in the story. Now, that's the same year her father had died. That is, Charlotte's father had died and her mother had found herself a young widow with a child on the way. That's when Fenella's letters started. Remember, Fenella is her mother's cousin, Charlotte's mother's cousin. So, from the letter, when Charlotte is done reading, the summary of it is, Fenella had a lover, William, who was supposed to marry her before she starts showing. But his father had great debts that forced him to marry a woman with £12,000 annual dowry. Now, the man suggested in letters that Fenella meet with her cousin Aurora. That is, in quotes, Charlotte's mother. Aurora at the time was a recent widow. And if Aurora is not with child, to pass off the child as Aurora's. Now, this is to save face, okay? So that they can say that, oh, that the child Fenella has is Aurora's, and Aurora's husband just died. So that means Aurora was pregnant when her husband died. The part of that letter states, go to your cousin, confide in her. If she's not with child, perhaps then our child could serve a better good. Appear to be San Nestor's. San Nestor is apparently Charlotte's father, who died the year she was born. This letter now finally makes sense to Charlotte, why her mother hates her in both timelines. Some things are the same, the important ones. That's what Quint had said to Charlotte when she first arrived in this timeline. Like, it might look at first that everything in your world changed, but I assure you, many things are the same, especially the important ones. So some of the important ones is Charlotte is not Aurora's daughter in either timeline. Fenella is actually Charlotte's real mother. So Charlotte collapses on the stairs at this revelation, and she wonders if she will end up alone like Fenella. Now, for 3 days, Sebastian doesn't visit, so it makes Charlotte believe everything is right. It's Wednesday. Fenella is out. She's playing whist with the older courtesans, the house of the one whose last lover was a duke and kept her comfortable for life. Like I said, this is the dream of every courtesan. I said this in the last episode. Get a lover that is so wealthy that even after he dies, he keeps paying for your upkeep. Now, there is delivery of flowers from Rockhurst to Charlotte. There's another delivery of diamonds from Rockhurst. Initially thinks it's from Sebastian, but Joella says it's Rockhurst that sent it to you. And it says for our future together. Alone by herself, Charlotte is playing cards. She's trying to distract herself. Now she blames Rockhurst for causing this problem while Sebastian is away from her. Basically, that if only he was not there with her that day outside the shop, that maybe Sebastian would not spend so much days away from her. Now, Charlotte picks up the diamonds to haul them, like to throw them away, because she's angry at Rockhurst. So she wants to pick up this damn diamond he sent to her anyway. It means nothing to her. She wants to haul them at the wall. But then something about the diamonds captivates her. And she starts zoning on her. I've actually never owned anything so fine. She tries them on. And it's still around her neck when there's a knock at the door. She thinks it's Fenella at the door, but then it's Sebastian after 3 days. Now both of them are eyeing each other. Apparently he left Lady Rutledge's surrey early because they have a matter. That is, Sebastian and Charlotte have a matter to discuss. He now reveals that Lord Battersby's ships arrived, making him a rich man. Remember, Lord Battersby, I never revealed his name, but Lord Battersby is that man that apparently he bought stocks of a ship that is supposed to land, that if it lands on English soil, it's going to make him a very rich man. But then the ship has been at sea for weeks. It hasn't docked. So as a reason, everybody has expected that, the ship sunk, which means all the money he invested in that ship sunk. And the man has been trying to sell the stocks that everybody has been running away from him because they know the stocks are useless, that the ship has already sunk. So that's a lost investment. But apparently, it's not a lost investment anymore because Lord Battersby's ship actually docked. It arrived and he's a very rich man now. So Sebastian is now telling Lottie, if I had not used my winnings to get you into the museum, that museum night adventure now that they had in the last episode, that if I had maybe bought just a portion of Lord Battersby's shares, I'll be very rich now too. He now starts saying, I used to be so sensible, at least that's what everyone says, and I suppose they're right. Then I met you and lost my heart, lost my mind. Why did you do this to me, Lottie? Was it a game to you? Then the diamonds at her neck. He now looks at it and said, Rocco sent this to you. She actually forgot to take the diamonds off. She then said, no, it's not about diamonds. That I only want you, Sebastian. Then he now starts saying, whatever for? To make a mockery of? To turn me into the latest on debt? Because that is what you've done. I'm broke, Lottie. Up the river tick. If I had been sensible like my parents begged me, I'd be married to Miss Burke by now. I wouldn't be here. But now because of you, because I loved you, I've jeopardized even that. And for what? So I could see you standing there in another man's offering. He's referring to the diamonds. Charlotte doesn't know it, but she just snaps. Not Lottie, not even a bit of Lottie, but Charlotte Wilmot snaps. The hypocrisy behind his words, Fenella circumstances, the razor-thin line that cuts a good woman out of society for the least infraction. Because it's not like even Lottie would have chosen this lifestyle, but sometimes that's just the only way to survive. She now starts telling him, how dare you speak to me like that? You claim to love me and yet you call me a whore. Who am I, Sebastian? The woman you love or just merely another man's leavings? You won't take my money, fine. But explain to me how taking my ill-gained fortune is so different from you taking Miss Buck's dowry. How hard is it to see that if you marry that way-faced chet, you'll be the one picking up the reticule of money from the dresser in the morning? That's what she said, throwing his mother's words at him. Remember, his mother had told her, listen, that I'm not going to take your fortune. That is a good name that matters, not when you wake up in the morning and a silver reticule, like a silver purse of money is waiting for you in the morning. This is long overdue, this confrontation. Because on one hand, Sebastian is acting, oh, I love you so much. On the other hand, he's acting like, oh, you are still a slut, a whore. Do you get? But then the whole confrontation stirs passion between them. And she aches for him. So is this unspoken agreement that they're going to have one last time together before he's Miss Bucks? Because he's going to go off now and marry Miss Bucks. Because that's the only solution to him being broke. And he's angry too. How dare you? That's what he's telling her. That how dare you compare how I'm with you to how I'm going to be with Miss Buck. Now let me show you the difference. They now start kissing, roughly. He's carrying her upstairs and she tries to take off the diamonds. But then he now says, leave them on so I don't forget who and what you are. Imagine you want to make love to this woman and at the same time I don't want to forget that you are a whore. But I beg, see, some people are just complicated, but really this is life. People do things and to them it makes sense why it's being done, even to you, Seth, when you do some things. But another person's like, what? Okay, anyhow, that's it. She leaves it, so be it. So now the first round of the lovemaking happens on the stairs against a banister. They're breathless. They now continue in the bedroom later. So even after this tender makeup, in quotes, this time that they kiss and did things and they know that passion and love will always be there between them, Sebastian still can't take her ill-gotten fortune, but he can take another woman's dowry that you don't even know how her father got the money. So that's when it dawns on Lottie that as much as she wants to marry Sebastian, spend every moment of her life with him, she now knows for certain that Lottie Townsend's past is a wall between them that can never be raised, never be brought down. The former lovers, the gold, the jewels, the property Lottie has accumulated, the reputation that comes with being London's most coveted courtesan. Everyone has just been right. She can't just get married to Sebastian. So she has to make him leave. Leave her bed, leave her life. She now starts telling him she doesn't want this thing any longer. So she makes Sebastian leave. After he leaves, she's crying herself. So she's crying so hard on the bed. She doesn't want this any longer. That's what she says aloud. This life, this wish, she doesn't want it any longer. So right now, she rescinds the wish. She says she no longer wants this wish. And then she goes to bed crying, clutching Rockhoster's diamond. She's holding it in her hand and she falls asleep, crying and aching and having rescinded the wish. So from next episode, we're going to see life. Next episode feels like a totally different novel, honestly, because this is that journey, starting with wrong belief system, the hero's journey we just went on. But right now, we're going to come to redemption, trying to fix everything. So the next part, the final part of the story, feels like a rom-com movie, like it's so perfect and so different from first these first four ones that we've done. You really don't want to miss it. Honestly, I promise you. I enjoyed the last part of this book better than this first. Honestly, I did. So I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate you, Nibber. Bye. Happy Sunday.